Good afternoon. I'm Greg Kehoe. I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Florida. With me at the podium here is Matt Fodor, the Special Agent in charge for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Chief Lee Burkaw of the Tampa Police Department, and directly behind me is Captain Ty Thompson of the Lakeland Police Department. What we have here today, ladies and gentlemen, is two indictments or indicting 19 people in various locations. Those two locations are in Tampa and in Lakeland. And they involve gang activity in our city and drug trafficking organizations. As you know, those drug trafficking organizations and the gangs pose a serious safety threat to our entire community. The law enforcement community, both federal and state and local, are committed to eradicating that danger so people can live in safety. The two items that we're talking about here, one of them in Tampa and one of them Lakeland. The first one is involved in the city of Tampa, that involves the gang called the Glock Boys, also known as the Glockies. They are involved in any number of violent activities, and also, remarkably enough, this street gang was involved in massive financial fraud, which we'll talk about in a second. But let's just give you an idea of the actual violence that was involved here. There were two gangs in West Tampa, the Glockies, and also another gang called Robles Park. And if you follow me through this chronology, in July 19th, 2020, Robles Park and the Glock Boys got in a shootout with many civilians around in front of the Truth Lounge here in Tampa. 8 people were injured. Several days later, July the 25th, 2020, in retaliation, the Glock Boys hit the Robles Park gang, and they did it at the International Mall. They did it at the International Mall in broad daylight in the parking lot. Cars where bystanders, innocent bystanders were struck, and there were numerous rounds being fired. 2 days later, Robles Park retaliated on the Glock Boys with another shootout. Almost 10 days later, the Glock Boys, on August the 6th of 2020, the Glock Boys opened fire on Robles Park in and around Hillsborough High School. What was clear from the evidence that was obtained in the August 6th shooting were the .45 caliber casings that were taken from that shooting scene. What was law enforcement able to do with that? The FBI, together with the Tampa Police Department, was able to take the .45 caliber casings from that shooting and match them up with the shootings that had taken place at the lounge and had taken place at International Mall. What did we get from that? That they were the same shooters. In the past, we have indicted and prosecuted members of the Robles Park gang, and now we are here to take on the Glockies. And before you have an indictment of Greg Kendrick, Corey Davis, Arias Johnson, Damon Council, and Antonio Phillips. They're all Tampa residents, all live here, and they're charged with conspiracy to commit murder and aid of racketeering activity, conspiracy to commit assault with a dangerous weapon, attempted murder, discharge of a firearm, and furtherance of a crime of violence, felon in possession, and ammunition, and they all face, just on those charges alone, a period of incarceration up to life in prison. And just when you think that a street gang is only involved in this kind of street violence, there are also counts in the indictment that you'll examine that will detail the massive identity theft fraud and fraud operation that these individuals were involved in. They took various identities from people, and they went online in states throughout the United States to claim unemployment claims, to claim various financial applications using these false identities, and they did it over a period of years to the extent that they were able to defraud the public, both state and federal, of almost $2.9 million. Corey Davis had 47 false claims for a payout of $51,000. Damon Council, 22 claims for a payout of $49,000. Greg Kendrick, 94 claims, payout of $517,000. Antonio Phillips, 254 claims, a payout of $1,361,000. And Arias Johnson, 215 claims with a payout of over $1 million. So in addition to this gang being involved in serious violent crime on the streets of Tampa, They were involved in this massive financial fraud and identity theft that went around all of the states in the United States, not just the state of Florida. In conjunction with that, we have a narcotics investigation coming out of Lakeland. And this is a drug trafficking organization involving a sophisticated drug scheme and 14 defendants, 14 members in the area. They have trafficked 400 grams of fentanyl, over 500 grams of methamphetamine, as well as cocaine and ecstasy. They operate out of multiple motels, stash houses across Lakeland and Winter Haven, and these defendants were violent. You can take a look at the indictment, and you can see the various charges that these individuals had, many of which were violent crimes. And many of these individuals were armed at the time of their apprehension, even though they were convicted felons. 10 of them had prior felony convictions for drug trafficking or violent crimes. After they finished their terms, they were back out on the street doing the same thing they did before, engaged in violent crimes and narcotics trafficking. But thanks to the efforts where the FBI, again, and the Lakeland Police Department were bringing these 14 individuals to bear today. As an aside, one of the individuals, when they attempted to arrest them last week, fled and was engaged in a car chase and a car crash with the Lakeland Police Department. What's important to take away from this press conference is this, that law enforcement is here to demonstrate not only to the public but to these gangs, not only in Tampa, not only in Lakeland, but throughout the Middle District of Florida, that law enforcement is here and these individuals are going to be prosecuted to the fullest. These are 2 indictments involving 15 individuals, and I give you my word that law enforcement is dedicated to the goal that there will be additional indictments, and they are not going to give up until these criminal organizations are taken off the board. It is essential that law enforcement, federal, state, and local, be responsive to the safety needs of this community. And that's what we will do. And that's what we will continue to do. 19 people, if you think anybody thinks this is the end, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. And we will continue to pursue this over the years to do everything possible to make our community safe throughout the Middle District of Florida. That's what the people in this community want, and that's what we have been tasked to do, and we will do it. What I'd like to do right now is give my law enforcement colleagues an opportunity for a few words, starting with Matt Fodor of the FBI.
Thank you, Greg. Good afternoon. I'm Matt Fodor, Special Agent in charge of the FBI Tampa Field Office. I'm proud to stand here today with our local law enforcement partners to reassure the communities we serve that we are turning up the heat to crush violent crime and restore safety. How are we doing this? Teaming up. Surging our collective resources and with continued federal pressure, targeting criminal enterprises to ultimately dismantle and disrupt. The 2 investigations U.S. Attorney Kehoe just highlighted are perfect examples of how we are getting the job done. Our work with Lakeland Police, sharing resources and intelligence, led to the identification of a drug trafficking group responsible for a significant increase in fentanyl-related deaths and overdoses over the last year. The people responsible were arrested for their roles in this criminal activity, but the federal government didn't stop there. We are tenacious. 14 members of this organization are now facing federal charges. Not only are they off the streets, but they are facing charges that could carry substantial prison time and that will keep them out of business for a long time. When gun violence threatened our safety in Tampa, we turned to our partners at Tampa Police to help disrupt 2 violent criminal networks out of West Tampa, Robles Park and the Glockies. The violent feud between these 2 gangs spilled into the streets beginning in June 2020. And in numerous incidents, including the shootout in the parking lot of the International Mall, put innocent bystanders at risk. Like the investigation in Lakeland, the federal government wanted to make sure these criminals couldn't terrorize our community anymore. In addition to state charges, 3 Robles Park members and 5 Glockies are facing federal indictments. Both investigations I just described demonstrates the goal of FBI's Summer Heat initiative. And as Greg alluded to, this is just the beginning. You will continuously see the federal government surging resources with our state and local partners, executing federal warrants on violent criminals and fugitives, and dismantling these dangerous criminal networks so we can crush violent crime and make our communities safe and secure. Make no mistake, we are not done. As Greg alluded to, this is just the beginning. We're coming for you. Thank you.
I have Chief Lee Burkhardt from the Tampa Police Department.
Today is a result of a comprehensive investigation and the Tampa Police Department's commitment to the safety of everyone in our city. Make no mistake about it, the streets of Tampa are safer with the indictments of these 5 individuals. I want to begin by thanking the federal partners for their collaboration and dedication throughout this investigation. We have a great relationship with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, whether it's crime fighting or protecting our citizens at special events. This gang, known as the Glockies, wreaked havoc on our community, showing a total disregard for those who live here. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned, this group is linked to multiple shootings across our city, and each defendant involved stands charged with conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering activity, along with other various serious charges. And as you heard earlier, on top of this violence, this group was involved in identity theft and other fraud, reaching nearly $3 million. Thanks to the tireless efforts of our detectives, we were able to connect them to their crimes and hold them accountable. Their commitment to justice made today's outcome possible. Let me be absolutely clear. This kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated in the city of Tampa. We will not allow gangs or anyone else to endanger the safety of our citizens. Today's indictments should have a clear and resounding message. If you choose to engage in violent crime, you will be pursued, you will be caught, and you will face the consequences of the Tampa Police Department and all of our local, federal, and state partners. We always say that Tampa is safer together, but I can tell you Tampa is not safer for the criminals. And this is a clear example of why.
I can present to you Captain Ty Thompson of the Lakeland Police Department. I don't know if you want to take a moment to try to put your light back on. You wouldn't want to miss a word.
I liked it.
Captain
I liked it
Thompson's
off. I liked it off. Yeah, the gentleman that went.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Do you want us to start, or do you want to just give him 30 seconds to see if I can wash it?
I'm like you. I'm a ginger.
You tell us when, okay? Okay.
In late 2024, the city of Lakeland experienced a large uptick in fentanyl-related deaths and overdoses. With these issues in mind, the Lakeland Police Department Special Investigations Section continued to partner with the FBI and started an investigation into a Curtis Tinsley. The investigation led to the investigations of numerous other co-conspirators throughout the length of the operation. Through successful partnerships between the Lakeland Police Department and the FBI, along with operational assistance from the Polk County Sheriff's Office, over 9 search warrants were conducted, 14 subjects indicted, and 8 federal complaints. Seizures included, but are not limited to, fentanyl, methamphetamine, MDMA, cocaine, cannabis, and multiple firearms. During this initiative, when we partnered with the FBI, we didn't know what we were really looking at, the depth of, but as the investigation continued along its way, we found out that this was a very intricate group that we were dealing with, and over that amount of time, we were able to successfully take them into custody. And I think the message throughout this today has been the fact that not only is Tampa not going to tolerate it, and as the U.S. Attorney's Office has said, the Middle District of Florida, we can assure you that the city of Lakeland and the Lakeland community is not going to tolerate it as well. We will continue the partnerships that we are very lucky to have with our federal partners, because they bring to the table certain enhancers at the federal level that we do not enjoy at the state level. And we will continue to use those enhancers to combat these and other crimes in our community. And today I would like to stand here and I'd like to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office for their prosecution of these cases. And I'd like to thank our federal partners, the FBI, for all their assistance thus far in this. Thank you.
Folks, you have any questions?
The drugs on the Lakeland police, were those also related to gangs at all, or those are just individuals meeting up together to sell drugs?
Well, it wasn't a gang as you speak of gangs, but it was an intricate organization that was built at different layers in the city. In other words, some of the distribution was starting in the city at the hotel levels. Well, then we find out through our investigation that that comes from a higher level and another higher level, so we were able to expose the different levels of distribution in this.
Is it safe to say that these are also like people with drug houses and stuff like that?
Yes, ma'am. It ranged from a number of different locations.
Speak to the quantities of, for the drug case in particular, how much did you guys get off the street in terms of like how many people that could have affected had it stayed on the street?
Well, I can't tell you how many people it could have affected. I'm sure there's a formula for being able to figure that, but those were just the drugs that we ran into. The reason that we were targeting the fentanyl obviously was because of the overdose deaths that we were experiencing in the city. As you well know, overdose deaths are sometimes difficult to tie back to a distributor or a charge for supplying drugs to someone that resulted in death. But those were all looked at as we went along the way.
So just to answer that question, it was fentanyl, it was methamphetamine, it was ecstasy, it was cocaine, it was a variety of different matters. And if you answer your question, we're dealing with stash houses, we're dealing with hotel rooms. They operate in various different locations, not just one. Okay, you know, the difference between a gang and an organization like this, and a gang may have its own name, such as the Glockies and such as the Robles Park. They're still individuals associated in fact, and whether or not you give them a name, it's the same animal, it's still individuals associated in fact that have gotten together to commit these crimes.
And so how do you feel? I know you've already talked about it, but just knowing that more people are now off the streets and we are safer because these guys are now in custody, how do you feel? What's the overall sentiment as an organization? You guys all work together as a team to protect us.
Well, I think it's just chapter one. I think that the thing that we don't want to do is just rest and say the job is done, because it's not. This is just chapter one of a series of investigations that is going to continue in Tampa, it's going to continue in Lakeland, but it's going to continue elsewhere too, and not just Hillsborough County and not just Polk County, but I am talking about throughout the Middle District of Florida. It's going to continue, and the focus that we're going to have is in these organizational activities that are dispensing these types of narcotics throughout our community. You know, how many lives have been saved? As the captain said, it's a difficult formula to make, but what we want to do by these is not only take these people and put them in jail, but disrupt the organization. That is an essential part of all this. Disrupt the organization. Take their money, take their property, take their drugs, take their guns, and put them in jail. And when the next people come up, we will do the same thing. Yes, sir.
From the gang case, were you on the Robles gang first and then came to the Glockies? And then at what point did you know they were into the fraud and the identity theft, or did you guys know that all along?
Well, I will tell you, I have to turn to the detectives in the Tampa PD in conjunction with the FBI analysts that they started pulling, communications. They started getting, warrants on what they were communicating, the social media networks, et cetera. It became evident that this is in fact what they were doing. They were sharing these identities. They were stealing identities. They were using identities from a variety of people. They were using identities from people that they had done time with in jail, and they were sharing it over the social media platforms. So as we got into the investigation, those facts became came to the fore, which would not have come to the fore had we just stopped with the shooting itself. There was much more to this. And I think the thing that's surprising about it is probably the preconceived notions that we have about street gangs, that you don't think they're involved in sophisticated financial fraud. This is a case that the Tampa PD detectives, in conjunction with the FBI agents and analysts, proved just the opposite, that these are very intelligent, driven, well-organized individuals that are involved in significant financial fraud over a significant period of time, years. This was just not a flash in the pan. This went on for years.
You know how they were able to steal identities? Were they taking people's mail to get IDs?
I think you can get the multitude of ways that they get those. I can't tell you exactly how they were getting them. I know they were using names from people in jail. I know they were using a variety of different names from different locations. I think in our day and age of internet communications, frankly, it's not that easy to get identification information. I hasten to say that is a difficult thing in our society, but I think they were exhausting many different avenues to get identities. The takeaway from that is that this is a sophisticated organization. Again, this is just not what you might think is just a street gang that wasn't involved in something that was very detailed and very organized, that they made a lot of money from.
You also said this is just the beginning. Are there more out there related to the same gang or different organizations? Did you guys have leads on other people that are out there that we should be aware of? Or?
Let your imagination be your guide. I will say to you that there are other organizations in other parts of the Middle District of Florida that we are going to attack. There are other drug organizations and gangs that we're going to go after. All I'm saying to you is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning. We are focused on taking these gangs and these drug organizations down that are polluting and hurting our community. Okay, all right, guys, thank you.